Hello, world. This is John Pinto, your roving realtor, bon vivant video blogger, podcaster, and I am here with PhD nutritionist, nutrition IQ, Matt Tryon. I am the disembodied voice that you are hearing, and Matt is the good-looking guy on screen. How are you today, Matt?
I'm doing great. Doing wonderful.
Very good. Now we are recording live at Housley Napa Valley Tasting Room, drinking some. There you go. Oh, you're like Vanna White. Push it back a little bit. There we go. We're drinking some Century Oak Winery 2019 Field Blend. I think we've got some Old Vine Zin, some Syrah, and some Cabernet Sauvignon, and we have an excellent Motown soundtrack. Thank you, Vanna, for displaying the wine. Okay, so we're going to talk about wearables. Wearables, which
Yes.
I think is probably a little bit more healthy than edibles. Would that be about right? When you're talking wearables, what are we talking about here, Matt?
Well, wearable technology can be anything that you might use to collect data from yourself. There's been a movement, the quantified self movement, that's used a lot of different technologies to collect data from our body to look at and see how we're responding to certain things or stimuli, or using it to sort of better ourselves and be healthier. Some of the new stuff that they've come out now is the Oura Ring. They've also used a number of wristbands. BioStrap uses these things. Apple Watch has a lot of different functions on it to collect data, particularly cardiovascular, and so it's really it's a big emerging field using wearable technology for the good of finding out what is working for you, your health, and sort of being able to make predictions on like how you're going to be doing in the future.
So let's dial this back and talk about a specific wearable, and that is the Oura Ring. Ellen just ordered one for herself today. I got the sizing kit and sized, and I'm going to place my order tonight after our dining event. So tell us about the Oura Ring. What is its functionality?
So the Oura Ring is kind of I'm going to take this off here because this is what mine. The Oura Ring's kind of was, I think, innovative in a number of ways. One, because it's a ring, and it doesn't, you don't have to wear it on your wrist. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like wearing certain things on their wrist, particularly if it's a strap like this that doesn't tell you time. It's not really multifunctional. More nowadays, like I think more people want more function. But the ring is really sort of innocuous. It kind of goes on your index finger or your ring finger or your middle finger, whatever you feel comfortable with. And it has sensors inside of it that pick up use light essentially to pick up like your cardiovascular or blood flow. And what I like about the Oura Ring itself is it's beautifully designed to capture a lot of things during your sleep. A lot of people have used this actually in clinical studies, and actually there's a lot of documented scientific research validating this against some of the most gold standard measurements for, like, in terms of cardio ECG, and capturing like sleep data, like the amount of deep sleep you have, the amount of light sleep, the amount of REM sleep.
I've seen the graphs. It's very interesting. They're different colored graphs to show you what stages of sleep it's registering throughout the evening. It looks like it'd be very helpful.
It's extremely helpful. We know that sleep actually it's related to a lot of different things. Could be depression, could be anywhere from diabetes to obesity to a lot of different cardiovascular effects. So getting sleep is really, really, really key, but not just the amount, but the quality of it. What I like about the Oura Ring itself is it gives you data. It tells you exactly how much time you spent in deep sleep, how much time it's spent in light sleep. It gives you a quality of that sleep. It gives you an index of sort of how you're sleeping throughout the night. And I think we talked about this before. I mean, I've used it, and I was able to find out when I was getting sick because I could see how much temperature changes were fluctuating, how much the temperature was fluctuating throughout the night. So even before I got sick, I could tell I was getting sick because I could tell that my body temperatures were changing above normal throughout the night.
So, speaking on behalf of the 80 million baby boomers, and there are plenty of us out there in the United States, I feel it's important for me to be proactive on my health and not rely on semi-annual blood pressure checks and lab work and blood test and urine test, and be able to monitor how everything is working on a continuous real-time basis. So what would you say you might best preempt in terms of surprise episodes of illness if you're monitoring things with the Oura Ring on a continuous basis?
Well, there's a couple of things that it captures. I think temperature, as we said, was one of them that might be a good indication that you're getting sick. One of the other things is heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is the distance between our heartbeats. Our heart does not beat in a very consistent manner. So there's a difference between our heartbeats that is not like consistent with like 2 seconds or it's measured in milliseconds. But there's variability between the heartbeats itself in terms of the timing. That's really important because what we've discovered is that the difference, or the higher the amount of variability that we have in between those heartbeats, is an index of how well we're resilient to disease. So heart rate variability, as it goes lower, is an index of that we're kind of getting closer to the point of getting sick, or that our body is not really resilient. And there's a lot of physiological reasons for that, because it's tied to the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is tied to how the heart is beating, how fast it's beating, when it's beating, and there's a lot of timing involved with that.
The vagus nerve, is that when you go to Vegas and blow $5,000 gambling, and then you have a cardiac event?
Yes, then you get shocked by your Oura Ring. It says
don't go.
The vagus nerve is under a lot of stress right now.
Yes. So I also understand that somehow it can help monitor and prevent conditions that could bring on stroke.
Yeah, I think that there's a number of factors with that go into dealing with stroke, and that really plays into the data that it's capturing, and that is, I think, heart rate variability and the amount of blood flow that's going through the bodies, particularly during the day, and the sleep also, and your respiratory rate. It captures your respiratory rate. And so when we see fluctuations in those parameters, it's an index of that something might be happening and predictive of something that might be occurring down the road.
Very good. So Oura Ring. So let's talk a little bit about wearables and where the Oura Ring might stack up as opposed to which you wear the Oura Ring on your finger. You mentioned index finger, left index finger, closer to the heart, versus a wristband like you have on, versus a smartwatch. Where does an Oura and finger-based wearables fit into effectiveness?
Well, what I like about the Oura Ring is it's been tested and validated in a number of scientific literature, particularly clinical studies. It's been tested against some of the gold standard ECGs, and so it correlates with it up to very, very well. I think up to 98%. So it's not dead spot on, but it's exactly what it's as close as you can possibly get to being spot on with those. Wearables are really, really interesting because there's this desire to have it stacked up against some of these gold standard methods of measuring our heart or our respiratory rate. And the truth is, it's going to be very difficult to get that spot on with it. When we're measuring something with ourselves, I think what we need to do is measure it against our baseline. It doesn't need to be spot on with get some gold standard, because what we just need to capture using things like the ring or the wristband is changes. How much is it changing? And it's accurate enough to actually capture those changes and be able to be predictive of certain things that are coming around.
Very good, very good. Well, with that, please tell our viewing audience how they might be able to contact you if they have any questions on nutrition, improving their personal health, and retaining you in your capacity as a concierge nutritionist.
I can
so
always
to
be
speak.
contacted at mtryon@thenutritioniq.com. I'm happy to answer any questions about nutrition itself and quantifying that parameter, or actually any questions you might have about using data to provide meaningful information to how you can change your lifestyle and predicting things that might be happening in the future for you.
Very good. And with that, let me pour you a little bit more of this Century Oak
Oh, yeah.
Housley's blend. And salute to you.
Resveratrol.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in. And our next video will be about wearables on the wrist. So please tune in, and thank you for tuning in on this video. Bye for now.